Hey folks, Cam here from Australia Kava Shop. We've got chat over a few shells number 2 today, and we've got Lindsay Vutilolo with us. Lindsay's a manic trover of the Pacific, fantastic golf player, according to him, right? Avid Kava drinker, and he's got some ripping yarns to tell. Lindsay, I first met you at, I think it was
Independence Day.
Independence Day, that's right.
Yeah.
And what struck me was you got to be the most Aussie sounding knee band I've ever met. That was why.
John's not bad.
Yeah, he's pretty good too. So with that, obviously comes a bit of background. Can you tell us a bit about your background and story?
Yeah. My mother is a South Sea Islander in this area, from the island of MI. Her maternal grandfather is from MI, and her paternal grandfather is from Umbai and Santo. And Dad's from the island of Malai. He was one of the initial guys to be lucky enough to get educated in Australia, and Mum was a nurse. While he was in Australia, he had tuberculosis, and she nursed him.
Wow.
And they got to meet each other. When he finished his schooling, they went back to Marlow, where I come from, and started the Avanatari District School.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can imagine Marley back in the 50s would have been around then, 50s, 60s, around then?
Yeah, early 60s, yeah.
She would have been, full on life.
Yeah.
Back then.
Yeah, the Coleman Light.
And when did you come on then?
I was born at Saint Michel in '59, which was a French hospital. And in those days it was the New Hebrides condominium. So you had a French hospital, English hospital, French police, British police.
Under the old condominium?
Yeah, under the old condominium system.
Okay.
And I was born at Saint Michel, which was the French hospital. And
Was that Luganville, I would say?
that was in Luganville,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
Manzada.
Awesome. Okay. And you got an interesting occupation. I remember when you told me about it, I was like, okay.
Oh. Yeah, I do two things. I have a on-site sawmill contracting business here, and I also do forestry training.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's led you to travel a fair bit?
Been lucky enough, yeah, through Southeast Asia. I did a trip to Ecuador and most of the Pacific Islands, except for home.
Yeah, right.
Train everywhere except for Vanuatu.
Except for Vanuatu. I know you spent a lot of time there, obviously. You got a fair connect over there, not just through Marlow, but your base there, and you did some training from south from memory?
Yeah, I was really lucky because my dad was a teacher, so I had good connections to Kava, the people of East Coast Santo, and then he also taught at the Eureka District School.
Right, okay.
Which got me to meet people from Ifira, Mele, Eroqua, Eritap, Pango, and in those days there wasn't any primary school or senior district school education in Eromanga, so we had a lot of Eromanga people going to that school, so I had contact with Eromanga.
Right, okay. And that's, I think, where you might have met some of your friends that you developed over the years in Timor and a few of your mates.
Yes, plus I also went to school in Vila. I think it was the Port Vila Primary School.
Okay.
And so a lot of my friends, I attended school with those guys, the Cows and the different guys from Ifira, and whose parents were actually working in the police force or working for the British government. So they all went to primary school there. So it was a good opportunity to meet a lot of people, as well as I was lucky enough to go to BSS, which is now Malapula.
Right, okay.
And so a lot of my friends come from different islands.
Gotcha, because Malapole was like the best of the...
Yeah, I think when I was there, it was the top 60 students in the country.
Right. Okay.
And I asked the question, why can't people go to their local high schools? It would be cheaper on the parents, but somebody who is quite high up in government, his reason was that one day you have to work with all these people, so it's best to keep everybody coming into one place and makes sense, yeah.
So you have islandism or nepotism, that sort of
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
Reduce that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this video podcast called Chat Over a Few Shells, so what do you reckon? We have a couple. We smash a shell?
Yeah, why not?
Alright. Now, it's a Vanuatu natural here, which is our, I guess, most popular Vanuatu Kava or blend. Yeah, it's not as strong as the green stuff you used to from home, mate, so right, mate, it is what we do in Australia these days. Alright,
Cheers, Manol.
Cheers. All right.
That's all right.
That's not bad. Kava. When did it first come into your life? Yeah.
Kava. Okay. Kava wasn't drunk until I didn't drink Kava until I went back as an older person because I think it was either discouraged pre-independence by the churches or by the governing bodies, the French and the English. I'm not too sure. I could be wrong. But it was only after independence that it started to revive, and it wasn't in the old traditional ways. I think it was very commercial.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I've noticed a difference since those times in Kava bars in Vila and Santo and on Marlow. When I first started drinking on Marlow, the Kava bar would open at 8 o'clock.
Oh, in the morning?
No, at night.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's not a really good time to start drinking, but whereas now these days you go, it's open at 4:30.
Yeah, around this
my time.
2, 3 o'clock.
Exactly. Yeah. So sorry for all you people from Tanner out there. It's just that. But also I notice now that the quality, if I go back to Vila or Santo, the quality of most Nagamas is quite good.
Right.
They've woken up to the fact that if you sell inferior Kava that doesn't kick, you get less customers.
And it's a
So
competitive
consistency,
market, right?
the consistency at home now is quite good.
Yeah, with the amount of alcohols and Kava bars, like it's just every corner, right?
Yeah, well, you can have a Kava bar with 12 windows.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, alternatively, it can be just a little shack with one window no more, right?
Yeah,
It's pretty competitive.
But it's much like the pub. The same here is you go there I always go to Nagamal for conversation.
Yeah, well, let's bounce off that because
Yeah.
like you experience it, I've experienced it. A lot of Aussies who are watching this probably don't get that networking and engagement you get with even complete strangers over a few shelves. Like sound on that as it relates to Aussies in pubs and stuff.
It's something you look forward to every afternoon, and the conversation is never heavy. If you start talking in a heavy conversation, people will pull you up. It's a relaxed atmosphere. There's no confrontation.
I love telling this story.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me interjecting real quick.
Sure.
Like in the, 15, 16 years I drank at Kava bars, I never saw one physical altercation. Like, not one, right? And raised voices was like in aggressiveness was like, if it happened, everyone you'd know about it all through town, right?
Yes.
It was that much.
Well, you got pulled up by your friends. Don't kill my Kava.
Oh, for talking too loud, yeah.
You're talking too loud or talking about a subject that was probably a bit heavy.
Yeah,
Is it
sensitive
work
or
for it?
something.
Yeah.
It's great like that, and like it brings people together, good times, but it also levels people out. We quite often, people don't get pulled up because people know better, just to relax. I just can't wait to see it in Oz explode because I know it's going to happen, like it's happening in the US, and they're seeing a huge amount of young people navigate and gravitate towards Kava bars over in the US because of that, right? Because of that, great vibe. You get off Kava and chatting with people, whereas pubs in Oz. Same thing happens, right? But that alcohol element's a little.
Look, I find in Oz, we'll put it this way, you don't need security in a Nagamal.
That's right.
And most of the time, you don't need security in an Aussie pub.
Yeah.
Very rarely you get an idiot.
Yeah.
That he gets told pretty quickly. But a lot of my friends here ask me what Kava's like, and I try to relate to them that same community get together like you do in a pub. How we spread the word here in Australia is maybe like expats do in Vanuatu. Bring your 6-pack around, we'll have a few shells, have a few beers, and have a good yarn.
Yeah, that's the way it sort of eases in.
I think with the Australian society,
yeah,
to try and talk them into having a shell every afternoon, or if you establish a Kava bar here where people can come, but you need that atmosphere where, like in Vanuatu, it's not in a bar.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that works against us here. But I find a good place is like if you're having a party or you're having a get together at somebody's house and you have the bowl of Kava there and you have the esky underneath it, and happy days.
Yeah. It's a fascinator for newbies, right? They're like, oh, what's that?
Yeah.
It's Kava. I've heard about that.
Yeah.
There you go. Right.
Now, I know Australian guys that have been drinking it for a while. They understand it, but it's just introducing guys that have never drunk it or have only drunk it in Fiji.
Yeah. Okay. Fair call.
Yeah, I know you haven't drunk Kava.
Yeah, our previous guest Phil mentioned that when he was here. But not rubbishing you guys over in
No,
Fiji,
no.
you just do it a bit weaker.
Yeah.
So, mate, on Kava, like you've travelled the Pacific, what is the strongest Kava experience that you've had during your time travelling?
Definitely Vanuatu.
Okay.
I was lucky enough to be given in Tanna, and now I forget what the name is. I asked my friend what they call this Kava, and he did give me the name, but I've forgotten. But it's a small hand Kava where the roots are very small. And I think it's Chief's Kava. I was old fella Nuras, a friend of ours, Nelson Nuras's dad, gave it to me at a presentation because I introduced the portable sawmills to Tanna.
Right. Okay.
Through his son. And I took this small root, which had been that long and the size of your fingers, back to Vila. And I said to old fellow Nuras, I said, when your son David comes to buy all the hardware, because they just scored the contract to rebuild the school or renovate the school at Leonard Gullet. Right. I said, I'll get him to prepare it for me. So about 3 weeks later, David comes through and knocks on my door, and he said, if you want to do it this afternoon, I'm free. So I went out and got 8 friends and brought them back. And David looked at us and he said, no, we'll have to do it tomorrow. And I said, why? He said, there's not enough people.
Yeah, wow.
So I brought 4 more people. So there's 12 of us, and the Tanna style is they'll get what we call burao leaf, or it's a hibiscus. You'll see it growing on the river, and the little leaf, and they put the pulp, your personal pulp, in front of you. Right. So he did that for all of us.
Okay.
And then he gets a jar, he gets a bowl of water, and pours it into the sieve with the Kava, sticks the bowl straight underneath and squeezes your shell.
So there's not actually a whole lot of like water added to it. It's mostly the juice from the pulp that you get.
No, it's there's water.
Okay.
But he puts the water straight underneath and he squeezes that. So that's
Gotcha.
as he puts it through. And then that's your what they call fresh. And then he squeezes it, and then the remaining pulp in Vanuatu we call it magas. So he puts that down. And I'm a pretty talkative guy. And as soon as I had that shell, I didn't talk much anymore. And crickets, you could hear the crickets, or in my language, bitangiri, was in my ear, and I was whacked. And I still haven't had magas. So 2 shells, the fresh shell plus the magas shell, and we're all lost in space.
12 years.
Off a very small root.
Wow.
That's the strongest I've had. I haven't had pasisi yet, although I have a family friend who is from Pentecost, and he does it with the coral on Marlow sometimes, but we do mix it with water.
Right.
And that's really strong.
Yeah. I can imagine that the small hand is so, being the way a cultivar developed throughout the archipelago of Vanuatu, like, that could be a cultivar that just that village had developed and refined over hundreds of years.
It's very rare in Tanna.
Right.
I think, look, I could be wrong, but I think it's very rare in Tanna. And Nelson told me that the only time they've ever presented that was to Walter Leaney, the Prime Minister, the first Prime Minister once.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying it's the only time it's been drunk, but it's a pretty rare. It's not what, if you go to Tanna, it's not what you normally drink. That's why they probably call it Chief's Kava.
Right.
But that's the strongest I've had.
That's a big deal to be given such a solid cultivar, right? I mean, Walter Leaney, founding father, first president, first prime minister. Like, that's wow. Okay, so Numbwood, you guys are pretty happy with that.
Trees, yeah.
Yeah, right. And what's the most whilst there's no violence at Kava bars and so forth, there's always some silly stuff that goes down. What's the most bizarre Kava experience you've had?
Yeah. No, nothing really strange happens.
Okay. Not necessarily the effect, but just something that might have happened whilst you're in Nakamala or Kava.
A little story is when you can live very cheaply. So for Australians, you could take $5 to a Kava bar, knowing what the price of a beer is now, and I'd have 3 shells for 100 vatu, or $1 each. And with the last remaining $2, I'd go see the mamas and buy myself a dinner for them. Yeah. So it was very cheap, because you've got a piece of fish that's 50 cents and a piece of steak that's $1 and some pork quarters 20 cents.
Perfect.
And you're helping the mamas out. There are some characters in Vanuatu that after they have a shell, there was a guy in Vila that used to sing out. I don't know what he was doing, but he'd sort of scream and yelp.
After his show.
Yeah, after his show, yeah.
This is the last thing you want to hear. Yeah. Wasn't there a Malay guy that used to eat, like, had bread and dip it in milk and be chewing on, like,
I'm not too sure.
Anyway, there's some wild, bizarre, like, anecdotes and I guess fashions that people have after having a few shells.
But in everywhere you go, there's a different style of drinking the Kava. In Tonga, they play guitar, and there's a lady that serves. And Tonga, I must say, it did work. In Kava, their Kava does.
It's some good
does
work,
work,
right?
Yeah. Ponape?
Oh, you've been to Ponape?
No, I drank it in the Marshall Islands. But there was a guy from Ponape there, and he smashed it all on a big slab, stone slab.
Okay.
With another rock, and that was strong.
Did he do a hibiscus?
No, he didn't do it in the hibiscus. I don't know whether I would have, I don't know. So I haven't really had, but it was Kava from Ponape.
Right.
And then I've had...
Sorry to interject, but Marshalls, do they have a Kava culture there?
No, it was just I met a guy and he was from Ponape and he had some Kava and I said, I'm coming around to your house.
Sure. You've been drinking Kava most of your life, right? Would it be fair to say, or not?
Every time I go home,
Mm-hmm.
I'd say for half of my life, not all my life.
Right.
There's a lot of guys in Vanuatu that probably would say the same. I think you're in your early to mid 20s before you drink Kava.
Yeah. So that's important to note, I guess, to viewers, is that culturally, if you spend time in Vanuatu, you understand that drinking Kava comes with a responsibility, or is only accredited to people who are mature in age, right? Now that is normally mid-20s when you start getting your shit together.
Mm.
And that seems to have permeated through the Aussie culture too, and the cultures in the US and New Zealand, where the younger crew, it's not an attraction to them, and not only that, people, like, it just doesn't feel right having a young people around it.
I think that's with alcohol. When you're young, when you drink alcohol, you're not having a conversation. You're looking for other things.
Yeah.
You get drink.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is when you see old guys in the pub it's good to be at their table because they have the best conversations.
Yes.
Whereas young guys, they're looking everywhere.
That's right. Now, speaking of such, mate, sorry to hear about Tommy Peterson.
Yeah.
That was a bit, obviously caught a lot of people unawares, even though he was...
Yeah, I grew up with Tommy. Tommy had bad emphysema.
Right.
And I remember being at the pub one day looking across and Tommy was fighting for air. And so he did it tough towards the end, like most people do with emphysema, I guess.
Yeah.
But he was a crazy guy.
Oh, the stories.
Yeah.
I think you and him can match story for story at a crazy level. But, but from a surfing background, if you guys don't know, he's the brother of Malcolm Peterson, one of the greatest, and Tommy was very capable himself.
Yeah. He was actually the first guy to surf the Kira groin.
There you go.
When they used to call it, can I swear?
Yeah, cool.
They used to call it El Fucker.
Right.
Because in those days you didn't have leg ropes, and if you lost your board, you just go buy a new one.
Yeah.
So he went out on, I think it was a Wednesday, and then on the Thursday afternoon, me and a couple of friends, he stole our mother's washing line and her stockings and drilled a hole in our fins, and so Tommy was the first guy to surf to the Kira groin.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
And you guys knocked out your own homemade leg ropes?
We had to, we didn't.
There
was a bit of a jolt when you came off. But,
yeah, I bet. Mate, these days, we're all getting on a little bit in age. How regularly do you drink Kava?
Because I'm in Australia, I'll probably have a shell once or twice a week, and that's usually with my family or with a good friend of mine that lives in Terranora, who's also married to a New Zealand girl. He actually invited me yesterday to go up after golf, and I didn't have time to go.
Let's interject there. So golf, right?
Yeah.
I'm terrible. I know you're super
I'm not
passionate.
that good either.
But when you're teeing off, a lot of people, there's people around, you get quite stressed, or, just because of people watching, a bit of anxiety or stress, whatever. So people tighten up here, right? Yeah, I don't know about you, but we used to get a couple of pro-am guys come and buy from us, and they bought the instant and they drank it purely so they
Oh, that's it.
Teed off and they're nice and relaxed. I don't know if that works. It could be an eagle for you and your golf buddies.
Well, I'll have to drink it before I go to golf.
Take a big plastic with you. Cool.
Yeah, no, look, I've had people buy Kava because of anxiety,
Yeah, right. Okay.
and he swears by it. It relaxes him, which is quite good.
I don't know about you, but when you come from a Vanuatu drinking where it's a social thing, right? When you come back to us and you see the impact of it on, certainly for us, 30-40% of our customers using it for stress management, head noise, whatever you want to call it, anxiety, get a bigger understanding of like how important that can be for people, right? Like you obviously don't suffer from anxiety, right? But if you do suffer from anxiety, Kava can definitely help you, right? You found that with some of your mates?
Yeah, there's a guy, and unfortunately he buys it from somebody else, but he was telling me that he uses it for anxiety, and he's a pastor at my church.
Wow. Okay.
He's a pastor of the church that my brother-in-law and my nephews go to, and he uses it for anxiety. I think a lot of years were lost when Kava was banned in Europe or Germany, and which could have opened up research into Kava as a medicinal.
Look, here's hoping that keeps
But it's starting to go now.
Yeah.
So, but I think if you enjoy conversation and people's company and a show, your mental and your health is going to be improved anyway.
Yeah.
Happy life
Yeah, agree.
is a good life.
I think that 2007 ban that Aussie slapped on Kava was I know for the reasons why they did it,
Yeah.
but there was a real chance for Kava to advance from a social and also physical, mental well-being aspect that we missed out on. Where the Americans, they jumped all over it.
Mm-hmm. Well, they need it more.
For sure they do, yeah.
Sorry.
Lindsay, mate, great having you over. I know you've got more stories in you, so I'd love to have you back again for a few shells. But look, mate, thanks for tuning in.
No worries.
Great chat. All the best, folks.
All the
Have a good
best.
one.
We know our roots.